Are you good to record, DJ Klasnic,
Yeah,
the Serbian prince?
Of course.
Well, this is a way better way to get you on the podcast than a hotel room in Sofia, Bulgaria.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This studio is amazing and definitely feel more on the podcast than when we were sitting on the bed with a small mic on the phone.
You just had the mic that plugged into my phone. Dude, that year, I was talking to Delaney because my season's pretty much done. You're leaving for Chicago, what, tonight or tomorrow?
Tomorrow morning, 6:30.
And by the time this comes out, Chicago will be well over. But I think that 2021 season is easily the most memorable I'll ever have. Because me and A-Rob, we played in maybe 12 international tournaments between FIVB and random domestic tours.
Yeah, that was a good run for you guys.
We were all over.
Traveled.
We were all over.
I hope you had the car deals and stuff. I know you were mentioning in previous episodes, the flights and lunges. Yeah. That's the moment.
Yeah, just living off of points and lounges.
Yeah. Yeah, you're one of the rare people, and I would include myself, that actually 2020 was a great year.
Yeah.
For me, when including it's a year and a half gap with COVID, people complain it was a bad year, no competition and this and that. But for me, it was a great time. I was actually thinking to stop at that time, and then I met Ricardo and played with him a couple tournaments, and Phil and Piotr and everybody else, Andy, Logan Weber, who made that season the best season that I had so far.
Yeah.
And after that, I think I got way more motivated, and after that season, I felt as a better player, and that motivated me for continuing and actually being where I am now.
Yeah, that had to have been Disneyland for you, because Serbia is not. You don't have a ton of options.
Yeah, but not only Serbia. At that time, there was no tournaments in whole Europe.
Right.
And I flew to Florida, and my mom is like, "What are you doing? You're going literally to there were colors on how many cases there are. I'm going in epicenter," and my mom is like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Mom, there's tournaments there."
Yeah.
So when I got there, I was supposed to stay a month, and when I saw the calendar, because they just opened the beach, and a whole all the organizers wanted to make tournaments, it was back to back to back, and I'm like, I'm moving my car. So I stayed 6 months instead of 1 month, and played literally almost every weekend. There was maybe one
every weekend in Florida.
It was insane, and everybody was so motivated because everybody was so hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And funny enough, Florida was a place, it's one of the rare times that had so many blockers and not enough defenders. So it was like a defender's paradise.
Yeah.
You could choose blockers every single tournament.
Yeah.
And you could practice with big blockers, and it was great. It was such a good year.
And that's so funny to look back. Everyone knows playing with Ricardo and Phil, that's crazy. But then in retrospect, picking up Andy, now one of the best blockers in the world, picking up Logan, who just took a third in Manhattan. You play with some damn good people.
Yeah, I was lucky enough, but I knew that they're the quality. I was actually happy in that moment to play with them. Yeah. Also, I was happy enough that they left me on the left side, so both of them sacrificed their left sides to play right sides. But yeah, it was kind of great mixture of playing with experienced people like Ricardo, and then playing with people who are upcoming but really good physical people like Andy and Logan. So really good start.
Was that wasn't your first time playing in the U.S., was it?
No, I came first time 2017 when me and Lazar, my current partner on World Tour, we came to Florida for 2 months, and then we played Dig the Beach and a couple of Florida tournaments.
Yeah.
I think we lost in the finals against some Brazilians. Not Ricardo. No, we actually won the tournament. We won the tournament. There were a couple of people that I don't remember we played, but Jay Kurushia told me he was there. Mm-hmm. A couple more players. That was Piotr was there, so it was a fun first year, to start meeting people.
Yeah. And you're obviously you played AVP for the first time this year, but what did you do internationally this year? Did you try to keep your points up?
So we kind of misplanned it.
Yeah.
Last year when I got back from US, my partner was not ready because he takes usually a break. He lives in Serbia. He has his business. Mm-hmm. Since Serbia doesn't really support beach volleyball too much, we really fight our own ways. And I found my way here, and he stayed there starting the business. So last year as soon as I came back, I think next week we were already in Madrid on a future event, and just didn't feel great. We were not like strategically and technically, like we didn't really match yet.
Mm-hmm.
We needed some time to prepare. So we actually lost that qualification. And then we lost Greece qualifications. And then I think we lost one more qualifications. And we're like, okay, our points are done.
And those were futures?
Yeah. Like we almost lost all the points.
Yeah, those
and
are
like
dingers.
got out of the race because after that we could not get in.
Yeah.
So I think on a third or a fourth event, we qualified in Lithuania. And we got some points back.
Yeah.
And we were already signed up for Turkey, which already the list came out. So even though we lost points, we still had another chance. It's like a bonus chance.
Yeah.
And we won Turkey. And
You
that's
won
where all the points got back. And
Skyball
we're
ace, right?
like, yeah.
For the win.
Yeah.
That's so badass.
I was skyballing the whole tournament. It was the windiest tournament ever.
Yeah.
And like a tournament before that, I was skyballing and I was thinking like, this is maybe a bad idea. Like people start telling me like, maybe you should float, you know, like,
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I think I'm done with skyball. And then we got to Turkey and it was so windy. I'm like, okay, last chance. Like, let me try again. I love serving skyball, but sometimes it's not effective. And I'm like, okay, let's try. And it was so windy that honestly, it was easier to skyball than jump serve.
Really?
Like, it was so windy that if you toss, the ball would move. So Lazar underhand serve from the bad side. And I like basically floated. And from the good side, he would jump serve like half toss, full power in the wind somewhere.
Yeah.
And I was skyballing. And I think skyball was more efficient because like you just toss off your hand.
Yeah.
Where like jump serve would move so much.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, like I think I had more points than people with jump serving just because I could be more consistent. So it was a perfect tournament for us. Got us back in the game. We got a lot of points, and then we were able to play like Morocco and then Australia. So we got enough points to like be in top 100. We were I think 70 or 60 in the world.
Okay.
And then we were planning to play this year, but not make the same mistake. Kind of, okay, I'm going to go back. We're going to prepare, and then we're going to play the summer. But somehow tournaments there were not a lot of challengers. There was only Espinho, and before that, it was Jurmala.
Mm-hmm.
But Jurmala was too soon, so we're like, okay, we cancel Jurmala. And then we wanted to go to Espinho, but it was at the same time as Austria. They're a really big tournament at the lake in Litzelberg. And we played that last year, and that was probably the best tournament we ever played.
Really?
Dude, it's on the lake. It's beautiful. The lake is amazing. Like, mountains behind, super clean. It's driving distance from Serbia, so the whole family can come.
Oh, awesome.
And it's full stadium. And last year when we were there, we felt the vibe. We lost the quarterfinals to Perisic and Schweiner.
What event is that?
It's
that was a futures?
No, it's a national tournament.
Okay.
Like, really big national tournament.
I've heard that the Austrian tour is awesome.
Dude, it's the best tournament I played.
Yeah.
Like, I'd never played elite, like, quarterfinals or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I never played challenger semifinals, like, not yet, hopefully. But there was so many people. Like, so many people. And last year when we were there, we were sitting after quarterfinals. We lost to Perisic and Schweiner, and we were watching finals, and we were like, this is amazing. Like, wish we were on the court. So we really wanted to feel that this year, so we actually canceled Espinho to play that.
Nice.
And we managed to make it the semis, and we ended up third, which was probably the best tournament we played this season. Yeah. Internationally.
Because Austria, I mean, that's a good federation.
They're really, like, they have a culture.
Yeah.
And that's the impressive part. They know how to make tournaments. I know some people from US talk about how to make beach volleyball successful. That's a good model. Like, people come, they party, they drink beer, they dance, they, scream. Like, it's amazing. And like, they would play a song like My Block or whatever, and they all know the choreography.
Yeah.
They have the culture. Like, the fans are there. And that's why Klagenfurt and Vienna and all these big tournaments, like, are so good because, like, the culture is there. I think the model should be, like, kind of copied to other places. Yeah. But back to the story, like, we canceled Espinho, and we were planning to play the tournaments in the end of the year. But since I'm F1 student, international student in US, the rule changed. And now, because COVID allow everyone to study online, now they want us in class, so I'm not supposed to travel. So all the travel that we planned for the end of the year to play challengers, we're not able to do. Damn. So now we, like, didn't really do anything, and, like, we're losing points. So we're in the tough place right now for international.
Can you, like, freeze your points?
There was a rule for that before, but now it's like you cannot unfreeze it the whole year or something, like 365 days or something. Yeah. But basically we had the plan to play 2 future events. It was it was the previous week, which was I think Brno, and
Okay.
then this week Italy, and somehow I qualified for Chicago.
Defender, baby.
Honestly, I didn't expect that's gonna happen. So we were still signed up. We were planning. I had the ticket to go back, and I qualified for Chicago. And I'm like, okay, I'm really happy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know what to do. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we're losing points, but I really want to play Gold Series. You know, main draw, 16 teams. Like, it's something I was dreaming of
Right.
for years. So obviously that's gonna be my choice. But now, like, okay, let's plan what we're gonna do next. So internationally, plans are still kind of floating there. I'm going back to play Mediterranean games, which is kind of like Pan American games or, you know, Commonwealth, kind of like
Yeah.
that. Multiple sports.
Yeah.
It's beach games. So it's like beach soccer, beach volleyball, beach
Okay.
handball, swimming and stuff like that. And I'm going to go represent my country straight after Chicago. I'm flying back to Serbia. So we're going to get some points there. There are good countries there. France is there. Italy is there. You know, like...
That's what I was gonna ask. Who competes? In the
Yeah, I know
Mediterranean games?
Gautirat and Crew, I think, are going.
Okay.
Linnell and Bastro.
Okay.
I think they're, like, top favorites. And then Italy, I don't know who they're going to send. And, you know, like, there are a couple countries that, like, that could actually, like, be really tough.
Yeah.
So I'm
Do
excited.
teams send their best? Sorry to interrupt. Do federations send their best teams to the Mediterranean games, or is it more
Some
of a
yes,
developmental?
some no.
Yeah.
Like, I know, like, Mediterranean games before, like, I think Lazar and Basta played Rossi and Caminati.
Okay.
And, you know, like, I think, like, top teams used to go. Then last time I was there were no top teams. Then this year I heard that they're coming again.
Okay.
So you never know. And
Yeah.
the funny thing is, like, you don't see the list until you're there. Like, we don't know the teams until we see everyone. We're like, hey, what's up? I
Yeah.
didn't know you're coming. So it's going to be interesting. And that's a huge event that I really wanted to play this year. After that, we're going to scramble. We might go to New Australia Future that you saw.
Yeah.
At Geelong.
When did they move it up? Because Torquay was supposed to be in November
I think it's
again.
like same date, but it's
Okay.
a future event in Geelong.
Okay.
And last year when we were in Australia, we were hosted by a Serbian family. And now, like, they're like our literally like family. Like, they came to Serbia this summer and we hosted them, and, you know, really good friends. So, and they live in Geelong. So we're really excited if we can actually make that trip and, you know, like, be again with them like a year after, you know,
Yeah.
and see them and obviously play a tournament and get some points.
Yeah.
So, you know, I love playing with Lazar. I love playing on the World Tour. But at the same time, you know, like, a new door opened this year for me at the AVP. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited for that opportunity. And I think that I played my cards well. I was lucky enough to get good partners and make a couple of results. So I think this year was great, but I think next year I'm going to be starting at a good point,
Yeah.
you know, where I can get a good partner. And,
Mhm.
you know, I'm going to prepare for that. And we'll see where that goes.
Yeah. Well, you've been knocking on the AVP door long enough. I was stoked to see that it finally opened for you this year. It was crazy because, like, during that year, I saw you play in Florida so much that I just figured that you had played AVPs before, and then I was looking at your BVB and I was like, damn, this is like your first year playing multiple AVPs.
Yeah, so I've been, as you said, knocking on the door for 6 years.
Yeah.
I was trying to get to AVP, and, you know, like, when I was a kid, there were a couple people who were playing in US, there were Serbian brothers, Vucic, that played in US, and for us, we thought they were playing AVP, and for me, it was like, wow, like, that's so cool, you know? And I thought it's never going to happen. Like, I watch AVP from YouTube, and, you know, by coming to US, also not expecting, like, I was watching these players, and I'm like, wow, like, I'm competing against AVP players. And then at one point, I really wanted to play AVP. Like,
Yeah.
even I think on last episode, I mentioned that Phil told me, like, you should get a green card and play AVP.
Mhm.
And I'm like, well, you think I'm good enough? He said, yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, that's my new goal. Like, if Phil thinks I could play AVP, like,
I'm going.
I want to try it.
Yeah.
So I actually, like, I dedicated everything to that, and I really tried to work different ways and improve my game, and, you know, like, obviously logistics to be allowed to play AVP. And now I'm excited to, you know, live my dream. Like, something that I was dreaming, I'm still dreaming, but
Yeah.
I'm living it now, you know, like, I can't
Pretty
believe,
sweet, man.
honestly, that I'm playing with the top players, and, you know, like, I'm having great partners, and I'm not just watching, I'm actually going there to win.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's just, like, amazing opportunity coming from, you know, Serbia, where we were always hoping, okay, another chance to at least play on the World Tour.
Yeah.
Now this is, like, for me, actually a chance, you know, to, like, live that professional beach volleyball life and, you know, like, compete with the best. And I think Andy was mentioning before on the last podcast that I listened from him, that they just want to play the best tournaments. And I love that idea. That's what I do. I just want to play the best tournaments, you know. And like for me, I was for a long time in the futures, you know, like got a couple medals, but you know, we would separate, lose points, and I could not get a partner to play for multiple years. And now I have a chance to play really high level tournaments. Like Gold Series is almost like a Challenger Elite, you know, like there are some really good teams there. So for me, I'm just excited to play, as he said, you know, the best tournaments. And, you know, like being in that bubble of the top players and, you know, motivating me to work hard is awesome.
Yeah, especially considering you almost retired a couple years ago.
That's insane. Like literally, like, you know, coming from small countries, I think like people who are coming from smaller countries, they know this story, but you're really limited on partners, you know. You only have a couple of people you can play with, and if that doesn't work out, you got to retire. Like, you're wasting time. You know, there are other things in life. And I reached the point where I played with all the people that I could play, and then, which is like, there's 3 guys pretty much, 3 of us, and then they decided to play together, so I was the one being without a partner, and I'm like, okay, I think I gave my best, I tried everything, and I have no one else to play with. I don't see where this can go in the future, so I was really ready to stop, and, you know, I was about to graduate and, you know, find a job. But as I said, you know, the door opened, you know, I played with Ricardo. Phil told me, like, get a green card. I'm like, okay, like, I'm back. You know, my motivation is back. Yeah, you know, like, it was a dream, even, like, meeting Phil. I, like, at one point I didn't have a place to sleep in Orlando, so he's like, oh, you can sleep at my house. I was like, okay, I'm sleeping at, you know, like, this gold Olympian medalist that I was watching on YouTube. And same with Ricardo, I was sleeping in his house. Yeah. So, like, for me, that was just, again, living the dream, you know, like, I don't know how I end up here. I tell everyone, like, you have to be lucky enough to succeed in this sport. And, you know, I was lucky enough to meet Piotr that helped me. Like, I stayed with him and Kaya for 2 months. And, you know, like, meeting Serbian people who helped me out with accommodation, meeting, you know, Ricardo, Phil, whoever, you know, like, all the people who actually helped, Mark and Brandon, who got me in the groups the first year when I came to California. So I think you really have to be lucky enough to come from small country here. Like, you cannot just decide I'm going to go to California. It's like too expensive, and like you don't know anyone and you're not going to get accepted. You got to find your way, you know. And it's like step by step. It was just like there was a road in front of me and I was just walking. You know, I was just like following the path, not knowing what's behind. I'm like, this is cool. You know, live in the moment, like try everything you can, and you know, if it works, it works. If not, I'm never going to feel like I don't have regrets in my career, just because I was trying everything I could. And then if it fails, if I have to retire, it's like, okay, you know, I know that I reached the furthest that I could go.
How did you end up in Florida in the first place?
Lucky. You know, a Serbian team was there working with a coach.
Okay.
And they gave a good word, and he said, okay, bring them here. Yeah. And I told my mom and dad, I'm going to Florida. They're like, what? I'm like, we got invited. He's going to host us. We just need to buy a ticket. Yeah. They're like, okay, do you know where you're going? I'm like, I have no idea. I didn't know on the map where we're going. I was just like, we're going to US. There's a coach, and it's a good thing for my career. So I was like, I'm going for it. That's awesome. You know, so it was, again, lucky, you know. And
where did you end up? Prince Bentley's he's keeping you in line here. Where in Florida did you end up going? Because obviously when I met you, you were in... Actually, I mean, we played each other in Clearwater.
Yeah, so I was south. Beach. I was in Deerfield Beach. Okay. I have a lot of good friends there since I was there for 3 years. 4 years, actually. I was in Deerfield Beach, Pompano area. Yeah. You know, practicing there, playing. Dave Palm's there. He was working with that coach. Okay. And a couple of players, but Deerfield community is great. They play every single day. Like, I still don't understand, like, who has a job there? Like... You know, you go to the beach and they're always on the beach, and same in South Beach. Like, so for me to go there, I'm like, okay, I always have people to practice with. Doesn't matter the level. Sometimes it's the top players, sometimes it's like a little lower level, but they all play. Yeah. Like, if you stop being focused for a second, you're losing. You're like, okay, got to pick up. You know, and you know, being like obviously like player from the World Tour, people want to play with you. So I was always like, even if I lose, somebody would pick me up. So I was getting so many games, you know, I was just like playing. And I think that was a great place for me at that moment to improve. And then at one point I was like, okay, you know, I need something more. I need more structure, more practices, you know, like, so I was lucky enough again to meet my girlfriend there, Marine, in the 4th year, when I was in Florida, and she got recruited for LMU. So she said, like, hey, do you want to come with me to California? I honestly, like, again, never thought about it. And I'm like, well, this is kind of like new and, you know, like risky, but it's a great thing for my career.
Yeah.
And at that moment, like, things were great with Marine. And, you know, I'm like, I'm ready for this risk. It's a new risk, but let's go, you know, a new adventure.
Yeah.
So we moved to California, and, you know, again, I met Mike and Brandon.
What year was that?
It was 2 years ago.
Okay.
This is our third year.
Got it.
In California. So, you know, again, I came here. I didn't know anyone. So slowly, like, started meeting people. But again, I say it's so lucky that I just met her, and she was moving here. And I never thought I'm going to end up in California. Then we end up in Huntington last year. I never thought I'm going to end up in Hermosa.
Right.
Literally, like, mecca of beach volleyball. Like, everybody's here. And I always thought, like, it's too expensive, you know, like, I'm just happy to get a couple practices there, get invited to practice with top players. But, you know, we found our way, and we're actually moving tomorrow. Like, we finally got a lease, and, you know, we have our place on the 7th Street, like, literally, like, a block away from the beach. So
oh, dude, we're neighbors.
I'm excited. Like, I'm saying I'm living that dream.
Yeah.
I don't know how. This is what I was dreaming of, and now I'm able to do it. And
yeah, I mean, you're smiling, you're beaming.
It's amazing, dude. I love it. Living beach volleyball.
It's so cool. Have you read The Alchemist before?
No, but we actually bought it. Like, it's standing on our bookshelf, waiting for me to read 5 other books that people recommended that I want to read. Yeah. Marine wanted to read it, so she bought it like before.
You should put that at the top of your list, because like your story is so much like The Alchemist. All the lessons in it, where like if you just keep following your dream and you keep chasing it, like you're gonna run into hard shit. Like you almost retired, and like then you had to work out all sorts of stuff to play on the AVP. You and Lazar, it's like you're living literally an ocean apart, but you just like you keep figuring it out, and then like here you are, like living your dream because you got through it. I think you should read it. I think you'll find a lot of parallels to your life now.
For sure. And I know you recommended it. I saw it. I always like when you recommend books, I'm like, screenshot. I keep the list of your books and recommendations.
Yeah. Well, I remember you put up or you like shared a post of like the top 100 books everyone should read. And I've kept that screenshotted for whenever I'm like, I don't know what book to read. I'll just go through that list and pick one out.
Yeah, I just like a couple of the books from there, and I'm like, okay, it kind of matches what I like to read. So I was like, you know.
How did you learn English growing up?
I had like private lessons. Like, I mean, my parents were sending me to lessons to learn English, and then we learned it at school. We have this story, like me and Marine, and my girlfriend, we talk about it. She's French. So way more Serbians know English than French people. Like, the reason why is there's so many countries that speak French. Yeah. So like you never have this idea you have to learn the other language. Mm-hmm. But Serbia is like you're only locked in Balkan, and it's kind of poor, and you know, like opportunities are somewhere else. So like the parents are like, if you know, you should know the language just so you have opportunities if you want to go somewhere and try to, you know, do something else and get out of Balkan, you got to know English. Mm-hmm. So for us, it's like you got to learn if you want to go somewhere. Where French people are like, nah, like, you know, I can just go to a country that speaks French. So Serbians are like really in school, like pushed to learn. Okay. So like it was half school, half private lessons. Got it. And then I just started traveling. Like, I think beach volleyball, I started traveling like 12 years ago. Okay. Or something like that, like first tournament. Damn. So, you know, all the tournaments and then practicing English with people, and then obviously moving to US made it way better.
Yeah. Got it. Because you speak it super well. And I didn't know if, like, at what point you would have started learning English.
Well, it also helps having a girlfriend that you have to talk in English. So, like, we practice every day, right? Like, it's funny now, like, you know, she would come to Serbia and we would have to talk English with my family. So I'm talking to my parents in English. My mom gets all nervous, like, you know, like thinking like, oh, I have to pronounce this well. My mom, we understand, like, you know, but my whole family speaks well, like really good English, and her family speaks good English.
Have they come to California? Your family?
No. So COVID had a restriction, you know, right? Because of COVID, they had to be vaccinated, and they didn't take vaccines. So now they just stopped it. So we're planning in February to have my parents here and my sister, and my other sister is in Dubai, so we're not sure if she's gonna be able to come because of work. So hopefully my family can, you know, see USA and you know.
Dude, it'd be cool if you and Lazar found a way to slip into the Dubai Elite 16. Go see your sister while you're there.
Would be cool, but with the how many teams are right now on the list and how many teams have points and like so many good teams on the World Tour, it's so tough. Yeah, I feel that to be successful on World Tour, you got to need that extra thing. An extra thing is like structure. You got to have a coach. You got to practice with that partner for years. You got to build up your game. Where I feel like AVP, you can still kind of find your way with a new partner, like this like honeymoon phase, and all of a sudden you're playing great and bam, and you succeed something, Maybe you're not going to win a tournament, but you're going to have a good result. Where like there, you're not making much.
No.
Like I played with Lazar for a long time, so we know each other. Like we played together, I think total like 4 or 5 years. But even that is too hard to follow up with teams like Brazilians or someone who practice every single day for the last 6, 7, 8 years. Take Herrera, Gavira, whole life playing together.
Yeah. Him and like Brouwer and Mewson.
They know without thinking where the partner is going to be, what they're supposed to do, and that's a difference.
Yeah.
Like that's a couple points difference that makes a big difference. So I feel World Tour right now, it's such a high level game.
Yeah.
It's physical, it's strategy, and it's teamwork that you have to build up.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to break through there without that structure. And it's really hard for us living in different parts of the world, but we love to play.
Mm-hmm.
We want to still compete. We want to see, my goal was always, since I started beach volleyball, I want to see how far I can go.
Yeah.
Is that future level, challenger, elite, medals, not medals, AVP. Now it's like, can I win an AVP? Like it's always like that goal that drives me of like how far I can go.
Mm-hmm.
Once I feel like instead of going forward, I'm going backwards, and like I start making worse results, I'll be like, okay, maybe it's time, to say, okay, it's time for something else. But as long as there's something in front of us, I'm so excited. Like I can get up every day and like work out, and maybe not work out. More practice. I can do 3 sessions.
The garden's always open for you.
I can do 3 beach sessions, but workout, I really like. I'm lucky enough that I have a coach that pushes me, strength coach that works with me for years. So workout's a little harder for me, I still obviously work out. Motivation I found in like looking at other players and being like, if you want to be this guy, you got to work out.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be on the level. I'm not enjoying it. I'm not a big fan of weights. I got a couple injuries, like my back and stuff on the big weights. But I go to gym. I get my face angry. I'm like, if you want to be this guy, you got to, you got to work out. You got to be stronger than him. You got to be faster. You got to, put in more work than anybody else. So,
And you just got to be healthy. I think I look at the gym as like, this is what keeps me from beach volleyball being a terrible pain in the ass. Because like when I didn't lift, or when I didn't have a trainer, put it that way, because I always lifted, but like I would be super strong, but everything hurt all the time. And then I finally got a trainer, and now I'm like doing all this stuff that's like I'm not as strong, like not nearly as strong as I ever was, but like nothing has hurt for 2 years.
I feel great. Time is so limited,
yeah.
So you cannot do everything, right? I feel like 1 year I'm trying to get stronger.
Yeah.
For next season, I'm actually like I want to focus on conditioning, like what Brazilians do, a lot of running, sprints, diving.
Yeah.
I want to try that to see how my body's going to react and if that's going to implement something in my game. But I feel you cannot do everything. You can do jumps and speed and, like for jumps, let's say plyometrics, and then get better at jump serves. And you cannot do everything. You got to pick and choose maybe a few things that you can focus on for that year and see if that's your, recipe for success.
Right.
So for me, it's like I usually, when I'm healthy, try to increase my, power, speed, everything. But once I have an injury, unfortunately, that's how it works. It's like, okay, let's take a step back, focus to recover, fix the injury, then we can continue.
Yeah.
I don't really do too much prevention just because, unfortunately, if I do prevention, then I cannot improve, the strengths. It's like pick and choose, fix it, continue improving, and,
Yeah.
There's different ways. I know some people lift heavy, some people do bands.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know Miles Evans, I see pretty often, like one leg on the possible, like juggling and doing a backflip, and then, I see people just doing like heavy cleans and, stuff. So I don't know what's better. I know that a lot of people still lift weights. I'm still a person who lift weights like cleans and deep squats and, heavy lifting. I never try being light just because I'm afraid I'm going to lose a lot.
Right.
Like my body's so used to, like, for 10 years I'm doing, weightlifting, but it could be something interesting to test out,
I think everyone's so different too. Like what works for me probably wouldn't work for like a Miles Evans. And what works for Miles might not work for a Chase Budinger or a Theo or a Trevor or a Try or whoever.
For sure.
And I think like the more you experiment and start to figure out what works for you in the last 2 years, with my boy Nathan Michaels, it's my guy. He's like, I talked to him for like an hour today. He's like, so tell me about the years. Like, what hurt? It's like, nothing. Literally for the first time since high school, nothing hurt.
Awesome.
It was awesome.
It's the ultimate goal.
Yeah. It made beach volleyball so much more fun. Because I didn't have to like go out to practice and be like, oh, I got to warm up for 30 minutes just to keep my knees from like a pain level from like an 8 to a 6.
So now when nothing hurts, you don't have to warm up. That's how it works.
Dude, I just roll out and do nothing. Like I do maybe a 3-minute like stretch, and then I just start kind of like running around and waiting for somebody else to pepper with me.
Yeah.
Or I'll just hit standing shots by myself.
Yeah.
But you got some hickeys up your arm here.
Yeah, I got a recent injury. I don't know where it came from, but the shoulder's been bugging me. It's kind of like got a little weaker in some like different like positions.
Yeah.
Somehow it still doesn't hurt when I play, so it's not that urgent. But I'm working with a Greek trainer, Panos. He's trying to help me out now, and with my strength coach, obviously trying to recover a little bit. So it's not limiting me yet, but I'm really like now cautious of like, I don't want to overuse it. I don't want to overlift. Nothing that makes me, makes pain. I don't want to do it. So I'm kind of just trying to prepare, obviously, for Chicago to be in the best shape. By the way, we're playing Taylor's. I just listened to the podcast when I was driving here, and I was waiting for that, little piece of like success. How did you win Manhattan? So we can like plan. Like you were testing them. You were like, so what's the new secret? Like what did you change in the game? But I didn't get anything useful.
Do you have your match time yet?
I'm not sure. I think it's like 10:30.
You want a nice early morning match with the Tays. You got to catch them still snoozing. They hit the snooze button for a little bit.
I don't know, honestly. Like, what I'm hoping for is a lot of wins. Like, give me win. Yeah. For me and Leela, small team, like, give us win. Maybe we can, scramble something and, surprise teams. We had a hard time in Manhattan with Paul and Tim because they were just reaching really high. And obviously, I'm not a blocker. I'm going to Chicago as a blocker.
You're running up?
I'm running up,
okay.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I really find blocking fun.
It's so fun.
And I feel like I do something different than other blockers. Like, I'm trying to move my arms a little more and, like, find them in the different spots to surprise people. I feel like not enough blockers do it. If you watch the high level, the top level, like, let's take two best blockers right now, right? Andy and
Anders.
And Andy.
Andy and Norwegian Andy.
Like, they're moving their arms a lot. Like, it's like, Andy was talking about it, I'm here, my arms are here, like different looks. And I feel like too many blocks are too simple.
Yeah.
And I feel that that's what we have in the game. We have a little like mix up. We have a lot of calls, different calls, like me dropping here and there and him faking or dropping or staying. And, like we're trying to make this game fun. And I honestly think if I was taller, this would be great. Like, it's really fun to like, have like arms move and like different closure, like I'm supposed to take sharp angle, leave the deep angle and stuff like that, where like big blockers obviously can take more. But I find it really fun. I don't enjoy that much to play a whole season. But, in the situation where I was, where Brian Miller, my current partner, like couldn't play and he got a kid, which is great. Like, congrats to him and Gabby. I had to find someone, and as I said, I've always found blocking fun, even though I never tested out. I played one tournament in France as a blocker. So I asked Leela, like, do you want to play? I feel like you're the only person who can run behind my low block. And at that moment, he didn't have a partner. So we, created this partnership to play Manhattan and then try to qualify for Chicago, which was before Manhattan, the qualifier.
Yeah.
And somehow it worked. It was windy. Again,
nice windy day for it,
helped a lot. And now I'm just excited to go to Chicago. I've never been there. Chicago is, by the way, the second biggest city of like with Serbians. Like, it's
really?
Belgrade, the capital, then Chicago, then Novi Sad, and any other city in Serbia. So like they had so many Serbians in Chicago.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I always wanted to go because I know a lot of people who are there. So I'm just like, now I have a great reason, to
that's so cool.
Go and represent.
Big Serbian fan base.
Yeah.
Dude, you'll love Chicago. It's like, that stop is so fun.
I heard that.
Yeah,
I heard
because
that. A lot of people like
Zahn, he always describes, he's like, morale is so high in Chicago on Labor Day weekend because it's the end of summer and Chicago gets cold like really fast. When it gets cold, it's freaking cold. So people are just, they're out, they're celebrating. Like, it's their last big weekend of the summer, and the stands are always packed. The weather can get dicey sometimes, but even if the weather's shit, like, people will be there. You'll have a really good time.
For sure. I mean, I'm excited. I'm playing Taylors. It's great.
Yeah.
I didn't play them ever. I played Taylor one time in Hawaii, I think, with my buddy Komar, Nemo, a Serbian friend that used to live in Hawaii. So we practiced one time and played a couple games against Taylor, but I'm excited actually to play against them. I never played against Try and came in the real match. I played Trevor in Huntington, so I'm getting to play these top players, and I want to see where I am. I want to compete. I want to strategize, and I can maybe surprise someone. People don't know me yet.
Yeah, well, the secret's getting out because your first year on the AVP. When did you get the green light from the AVP to play this year?
I played from first event. I played Miami.
Yeah, but like how much before Miami?
I knew last year. I think. Okay. I think last year there we were already talking.
You played one tour series last year, right?
I played Huntington with Ed Radledge, main draw, and then I played Laguna with Mark. We qualified.
Got it.
I retire Mark.
I remember when you guys lost. Mark ripped a fitted hat clean in two. Yeah. I was like,
Mike was mad.
Dude, that's hard to do. To rip a hat like that.
But Mike's a really emotional guy, but dude, I love that guy. He's a really good friend and a great player and a great coach. If I would choose someone to coach me, it would be Mark.
Yep.
He's already taken by Logan, which is normal.
Yeah.
Logan has a bigger perspective right now, big blocker instead of small blocker. But no, I love Mark, and that tournament was so fun. We were probably the only team in the world that Skyballs the whole time. We were only skyballing, like me and him, like both sides, just skyball.
Yeah.
So it was super fun tournament.
Yeah.
And that was the start. And then this year I went to Miami with Lev, and then after that I partnered up with Brian, and we had a really good run in New Orleans. So we took 7th, and then Huntington we took 9th. Both qualified from a big qualifier.
Yeah.
And then I qualified with Leela for Chicago, and then we were in Manhattan main draw. We got 2 wins. So, I'm still saying that I'm living that dream. Like I cannot believe that I'm playing and I'm actually winning, and making those results, and showing my name up there. Like, hey, I'm here, and I know what I'm doing.
And probably the rookie of the year, I would think. I'm not counting Alisson. He's not a rookie.
Alisson is definitely a big name in this sport. I don't know. I'm not even thinking about that. There's 2 more events.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good players. I'm just there to make the best I can, and it's always like my goal is always to win. Obviously, if I don't win, it's like, okay, that was a good lesson. Let's go to the next one. Like, I'm not aiming for 7th. For me, 7th is still, you're not in the semis.
Right.
I wanna win, and I just see this as I'm still on that road that I told you, and I'm still going forward. And, I believe that one day I can win a tournament in U.S. I won a couple of future events, or at least medals. We won 1 gold, 1 silver, 1 bronze. So I'm actually just excited to compete on high level and try to win, and that's always the goal.
Yeah.
And then if I don't, I try to analyze and see what's wrong, and, talk to different people, try different coaches, try different partners, and find my way there.
Yeah.
I believe everything is possible if you believe, and I believe in my dream, and I'm living it. So in my dream, I win that tournament.
Which tournament do you win in your dream? Do you have a
Honestly, it's
setting?
not specific.
Got it.
It's just like I win the tournament that is, AVP Gold Series. I actually compete when everybody's there, and I play my best game, and I have a good partner, and it's not luck. It's actually we have skills, and we're competing, and we play the best game. Just Taylor's had a great tournament. They showed up, they performed, and it was not even a question if you watch the finals that they're gonna win. They had that game, and I'm hoping that one day, my game and my body and a partner that I have and the teamwork and the coach obviously can build up that I show up on the tournament and I know I'm winning. Right?
Yeah.
I'm just playing the best ball.
Yeah. And I mean, if you can win a futures, I think you can win an AVP, because you compared AVPs to a challenge. I think it's a really bad challenger or loaded futures is kind of the equivalent of an AVP, because it's super top heavy. Where you look at like you got your top 4 teams, and then there's a pretty significant gap, I think, to the bottom 12. But then like futures are kind of the same way, where you'll have like a really good team or two, and then a lot of times you have a team out of the qualifier in the futures. It's gnarly. Like Anders' brother came out of the qualifier. I think they won 3 gold medals this year.
Yeah, I mean it's beach volleyball.
Yeah,
you don't know who's gonna sign up. Sometimes you have the top team, sometimes you don't. You don't know how the beach is. Sometimes it's windy, like Turkey. Sometimes it's not. So, like, you never know how the tournament is going to be. And same with AVP. Sometimes you have the top teams. You have Andy and Miles and Try and, Trevor and everyone. And sometimes all of them are international. Yeah. So you have a little weaker tournament. But, for me, it doesn't matter. I'm not really picky too much. I just, I want to be the best that I can be. I want to be on that level. I want them to call me for practice, Yeah. Like, I want to be, good enough to practice with all these people, and, that's going to help me improve. Yeah. Right now, I'm still fighting my way there. I'm trying to get in a couple practices. I'm trying to have results and partners, obviously. Like, pretty often I cannot get in good practices because I'm alone. Brian lives in San Diego, and I don't have, partner here. And so it's, it's a grind. It's a grind, as everybody knows. Beach volleyball is a sport like that. Nothing is just given to you. Yeah. For some people, obviously, in good federations.
I think the practice thing. Like, I don't think anyone knows when you're here. I never you just like pop up and be like, DJ.
Yeah, that's what happened. Like, I showed up on the tournament and be like, oh, you're back? I'm like, yeah, I'm back. I'm back for a little bit, and I'm back to Serbia, and then I'm back here. And yeah. But I mean, officially we moved to Hermosa, so I should be more here. So I think when people know that I live here, it's a little easier.
Yeah, and if you're on 7th, you're literally like right next door.
Yeah, I practiced already a couple of times with Alisson and Avery, and they practice always there on the 8th Street. So that could be potentially where I practice. Maybe not. We'll see. Really depends on the whole like partnership, mix up. I love playing with Brian. I think he's a great partner. Lucky for me, he's a right-sider, which is kind of I would say my weakness as a player is I'm a left-sider. Yeah. Like I'm a big-time left-sider, and I try to find right-siders. There's not many blockers, like usually blockers. The big guys are on the left so they can option. Yeah. There's a couple, like, I don't know, like Dave Palm and Brian and, I don't know, a couple more right-siders, right? Exactly. Like, I'm thinking now in my head, like, perfect would be lefty, right? Because if you think about the system, like, what Maspertain does, right, and Swedish guys, like, the system works the best if both guys can hit option. Yeah. Okay, the Swedish guy is insane that he can hit option from the right side like that. Nuts. But not everybody can do that, and I don't see my shoulder turning like that. Yeah. I can turn it a little bit thumb down, but like that's insane. Yeah. Like, he still keeps the power with the angle he has. It is
nuts. You're starting to see teams try it. Like David Amon has set the mark that like you can be a right side right-hander optioning. Like George is starting to try, and he's struggling with it. Like Kame's starting to try it, and he's struggling with it. I just think like it's a freaking gift. The best one that I saw optioning righty from the right before Amon was Bruno. He was the only one that I saw do it effectively, but he did it so different because when he would hit a line, like Amon, when he hits line, it is like Titanic.
He keeps the power. That's impressive.
Because Bruno, he would just be like, shoo, and he would just like hit this little sizzler that would break people's ankles.
I would always find it funny that people would serve Alisson and Bruno would hit option. I'm like, that's insane. Like, it was, I think, that on the World Champs that he did it on like, in that tiebreak, the best world champ match ever when Alisson played Weinhorst and Numerdor. Yeah. And Bruno did it on like, I don't know, 17-17 tiebreak. I'm like, this is insane. Like, just taking that, like, responsibility as a small guy and hitting an option, that's insane. Yeah. But back to the story, I think lefty would be perfect. Yep. Even though you never asked me to play. You just
right now if you're ready.
But I believe that I want to find someone that I can practice with. Yeah. I do love Brian. I came up here with the story. I want to talk to you about that, about partnerships. Mm-hmm. I have this theory about relationships and how it works, and between Europe and USA. Yeah. It's like a small story. In Europe, like you go and you work on your relationship and you stay with that person forever. And that's how beach volleyball is, right? You go with your partner and you work like Herrera Gavira for years. Yeah. You work through good and bad, and you win together and you grind, and you if it doesn't work, you keep working, and then results start coming. Yeah. And it's like a regular relationship, like marriage, you know. And then you talk about those problems, you know, like fixing your marriage. That's what everybody talks about beach volleyball about. But I have this different theory. In US, people are more common to switch partners, you know, like switch their girlfriends or whatever, you know, try different things, short relationships, you know, flirting and stuff. And that translates to beach volleyball.
Yeah.
You know, we were watching one day on the TV, it was Love Island. I don't know, it's like a reality show of couples going in the reality, and then, you know, like they might switch up, you know, and like something like that. I'm not really sure how it is. Like they maybe switch up with different people. And, you know, I heard this sentence of like, you know, like I love being with you, and, you know, like we have the chemistry, but I also want to see if I have it with someone else. I'm like, this sounds like AVP. Like, yes, go to my story. Like, me and Brian have a great chemistry. I love the guy. I think we're great together and we could grow together. But what if there's someone, you know, else that I click with? Yeah. So it's like, I feel beach volleyball and AVP is like that of, you know, you go and there's so many opportunities, different players. And with some people, you think it's going to work. Maybe it doesn't work. You test out, you know, this was not working well. But then you try a different person. And, oh, this is like Kyle and Timmy. They told the story how they tested out. They're like, oh, maybe it works. And then, boom, they played great that season. You know, like they had a couple of good results. So for me, that's a theory of like in Europe, they really work together because they don't have AVP, right? They don't have a really big national tour. So you have to play World Tour and you have to play with same nationality. So they pair up together and work with coach, with federation. You work, and you build up after a couple years. Yeah. Right? Where here, people switch up partners, a little more messy, you know, all the drama, and you get to play with different people, and then maybe you, if you're lucky enough, you find a match. You're perfect person, and, you know, you have the chemistry, you have the game, and it works. So right now I'm in that position where me and Brian started something. We had 2 really good tournaments, but now we're looking like we want to play next year, right? But again, you know, we all know how AVP works. It's a game of points, and, you know, I actually want to practice with someone. I want to have a coach. So it could be Brian, it could be someone else. I'm right now really open for testing it out. I just want to go back to what I said. I want to win a tournament. I want to find a partner. I want to find a structure. I want to try different things with my body, and, you know, that hopefully leads to something. So I'm excited. You know? If you're excited for flirting with a new partner.
Listen, I think I've probably set the record for most partners in one season this year. Because coming into this year, like with Austin due at the absolute worst possible time, like at the very beginning of the year, I was like, I don't really know if I'm going to play much at all. And so I was like, I'm just going to play with, like, if there's a tournament that sounds fun to play with a guy, I'm just going to play it. Like, this year was just like total house money for me. And so I was like, I'm just going to play with someone new.
I give you big respect for playing with JD. JD is such a good guy. And, you know, I love him. And he a couple times was really, really good friend, like helping me out, you know, and stuff. And overall, just super fun to be around. Yeah. And I really respect you actually, like, giving it a shot and helping him out. Because I know how much he was actually, like, same as me, like, dreaming to play at the AVP and, you know, like, qualify and, you know, show, not to other people, but more show to himself, hey, I can do this. Yeah. And I think it was a really big moment, and I think you're a great friend for taking that and, you know, like, fighting next to him. And obviously, congrats to him. Like, that was a great success.
It was so freaking cool. And, like, what I think a lot of people, like, it was so funny, man. He would send me screenshots of what people were saying on Volley Talk. And they're like, oh, it's just like a charity case. Travis just playing with his friend. But, like, JD's freaking good.
JD's great player.
Like, he is the best passer I've played with to date. And I've played with a lot of really good passers. And I was like, I'm a really very good option player. Like, I think I'm better on 2 than on 3. And because JD isn't going to, like, bounce any balls, people just kept serving him every single ball. And he just lob up the perfect option ball all the way over the other pin. The only team who, like, figured it out, like, to start serving me was actually Ian Satterfield and Jake Urrutia in Virginia. And I, like, freaked out because I hadn't hit a ball in the third contact the whole tournament. Yeah. And I was like, I got blocked, like, 6 times. Damn. And then they went back to JD.
But I don't know if you remember, but funny enough, first time I played you, it was you and JD.
Against you and Piotr.
It was me and Piotr. So that was funny. JD was talking the whole
He was
match.
Yapping the whole time.
But yeah, that's the first time I met you and him. Yeah. But after that, I played against him a couple times in Florida. Yeah. I just think you say he's a great player. I think he's a great player, but there goes the same thing what I said is like it's so hard to get in top level to be accepted in groups and get partners, and it's a game of points. So if you don't have points, you cannot get a good partner. And to get a good partner, you got to have points, because everybody who's good, let's talk about main draw. Everybody who's good enough to win in the main draw are already in the main draw.
Yeah.
Because people who are below, they don't have enough points.
Right.
And like they're trying to match up with qualification teams, which is ultimately qualification guy and qualification guy against two main draw.
Right.
Which is usually like people from main draw are like already kind of a higher level teams. So it's so hard to break through and get points because you cannot qualify. And even if you qualify, you lose. So like you cannot get in the main draw to match up with the main draw guy.
Yeah.
So same like if we talk qualification, I have a couple of people who are like good players, but they cannot get a good partner.
Right.
So they keep losing in qualifiers and they never break through because it's so hard to get a good partner.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough in New Orleans, I didn't have a partner. I was ready to block.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't find anyone good that I believe I can qualify with. And Brian accepted to play with me.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, thank God I got a big blocker in qualifications, because there's not that many big blockers in qualifications.
Right.
The already tall people are in main draw, like because they're tall. Like everybody else is like fighting like two defenders, split blocking. Like so I believe JD just has a hard time because of the point game.
Yeah.
And you have to again be lucky.
And he lives
in this sport,
Mobile.
you have to be lucky. And this was one of the moments being lucky, having a good partner like you. With a lot of points that like can help him out and be good seated, and that has to happen. Some people just never get their chance. They don't have luck, in sport and in acting or whatever you want. You got to get your shot. If you don't get it, you got to be happy with trying.
Yeah.
That's at least my theory is like you got to try, so at least you're fine with yourself.
Yeah.
You're like, I know I give my best. And beach volleyball, as I said, you got to be picked up by someone, or you got to make insane result to like shoot your points up so you can all of a sudden be there.
Yeah.
So it's really tough.
Yeah.
I say it's really, really tough in World Tour or AVP, on World Tour or AVP, to actually break through.
Yeah. And the more, and I think you and JD, I think, are great cases of this, where the more you play in tournaments, just anywhere, like you're spreading out the surface area where you can get lucky.
For sure.
Because all it takes is like is Andy to see you play one good tournament with whoever. And he's like, oh, I need a defender next week in Gulfport. Yeah. Let's call up DJ. And then Ricardo's like, oh, this defender who just like won a final with Andy, I'll play with him. And then you get in practices with it, just like you just work your, like all you need is like one lucky moment where you catch people's eye. That's like my biggest piece of advice when people move here. Just like play all the CBVAs.
But it's not even here.
Yeah.
I say that to Florida or wherever you live.
Yeah.
Go play tournaments.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm not ready. You're never going to be ready.
Right.
That's, I read it somewhere. Like, you're never going to feel ready. There's always something more that you can do. Practice your serve more, like be a little more fast, like jumping higher, be a little faster. Like, but you got to start somewhere, First of all, you got to show yourself, you got to play against people. Second, you learn by experience. You learn, like I had this talk with a friend recently. It was 2019 for him, match point, and he shoot high line and they dug him. And I'm like, for me, next time I would say, okay, when it's a match point, I'm hitting.
Yeah.
You learn from experience. You try to hit next time. See what happens. If you win, okay, maybe that's your recipe. But like, if you don't go to tournaments, you don't play matches, you don't have experience. So for me, like, you gotta go play. You gotta you gotta let people see you, and if you're good enough, you're gonna get a chance.
Yeah.
Lev told me he played against Alvaro, Virginia or somewhere.
Yeah.
And Alvaro saw him. He was a big blocker. I don't have a partner. He gave a call to Lev. That's how Lev is playing with Alvaro.
Yeah.
It's like, because not they talked to play together, but because Alvaro was looking for a blocker and he was thinking, who did I play against that was good enough? And, I think that's kind of how it works. You got to prove yourself. And, even if, let's say, I lose to you, if somebody asks you, like, hey, how's DJ? If I gave you a good fight, you would be like, dude, we had a hard time playing against him.
Yeah.
We serve his partner, for example. And that's already a plus for me. So I agree, like, advice for everyone is go and play.
Yep.
And play and play. And I would ask my friends, my roommate that I lived last year with, I'm like, bro, why are you not playing more tournaments?
Right.
Like, okay, if you have an excuse, like a job or something, I understand. But if you're sitting home, go play the tournament.
Yeah.
You know, I understand it's a couple $100, but that's going to, you know, make you succeed. If this is your dream, go play the tournament.
Yeah.
If you don't want it, then it's fine, you know. So I really like encourage people more and more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would play, like Taylor Crabb would play every single tournament.
Oh my
right?
gosh. He
3s,
plays
4s,
every
6s,
tournament.
you know, like,
Yeah.
and I love that. And that's why he's so like crafty and, you know, like so good. I really believe if your body's able to play tournament, you should play. Even if you're going to lose. It's okay.
Yep.
It's another lesson. It's a win.
Like nothing bad can happen from playing a tournament aside from like if you play shitty, then you lose your entry fee or whatever, but you probably learn something. But you get so many reps playing CBVAs. Just think of how many balls you pass, how many shots you hit, how many sets you have, how many weird out of system plays that you do that you can't simulate in practice. So you get like, and it's always windy in the afternoons. You get your wind ball reps. You get a chance to be seen. You also get put in uncomfortable situations all the time, like down 12-16 in the second set. And if you can come back and win, and just a CBVA, when you get put in that situation in AVP, you're like, I've been here before and I've done this, and you get all the opportunities to get your like mental reps as well.
Yeah. I honestly love and hate CBAs. They're 1 game to 28 or to 21. I hate it. But at the same time, it's such a good practice having that pressure of like, hey, we cannot just go and like not warm up, or we cannot just go and like, we'll figure it out. Because if you're down, all the teams here are good.
Right.
They don't even have to be AVP teams.
Right.
People on the beach can beat you really easy.
Yeah.
If we would start a set 12-9, let's say, hey, let's play 12-9 against anybody on the beach. I don't know if you can beat all those teams. Like people on the beach are just bowlers.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of qualifying teams that, you know, you may be heard of or not heard of, but they can actually like give you a good fight or even beat you. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's like CBVA is really good to practice that. Start from a 0.1, because otherwise you're going to be out of the tournament.
Yeah.
And I play CBVAs, and it's probably I have the worst record out of all the tournaments. Like I lost so many times at CBVAs just because it's like one set and, you know, something happens and we're not ready or we're not focused or the other team surprise us. And I would go home and I would be mad. So you lose what you said, entry fee, and you lose the, you know, you have that really bad feeling, you know, and, you know, like at the same time you hate it, but it really motivates you. Mm-hmm. And you're like, what did I do wrong? Why did I lose? I'm supposed to win. And then from there you can build up. Yeah. And I feel like it's a really good kind of check out, you know, like, hey, where are we at this moment?
Yeah.
Like, are we ready? Or there's something lacking. And there's something lacking. Boom, boom, boom. Fix it. Then go play another tournament or AVP or whatever. Mm-hmm. So really good preparation, really good for learning. And, you know, at some point, if you win for big money, CBVAs, okay money for a weekend.
Yeah. And,
you know, everybody loves to win. It's like Jake and I won Hermosa a couple months ago. It was super windy.
Jake
Urrutia. We were playing just small ball, you know, really windy day. And we win small prize money.
Yeah.
You know, we won hoodies that says champion.
Yeah.
And, you know, hats. And we're like, okay, let's go to the bar and, you know, like celebrate. And like, just, you know, like having something like I won feels good. You know, and that's like ultimately what makes us be pro athletes. Mm-hmm. It's not the money. It's not, you know, the practice. It's that feeling of like, I won, you know, I can celebrate this small win. You know, it's all about small wins, right?
Yeah.
It's small wins, the practices, small wins, the tournaments, but like being happy about winning is what it's all about. So even winning CBVAs or a small tournament or a standing game with a standing tournament with with Mesco, you know, you feel happy. You go and you're like, for me, at least makes my day or a week or a month, you know, like it feels great, you know, like.
And winning,
it really motivates you.
Winning it, like, it literally changes your psychology, just like what it does to your brain. And that's why I think another thing that I would recommend is when you're playing tournaments, there's a time and place to like play at a level where you're just going to lose. You can learn a lot, but I think if you play, like if you're a AA player and you're playing AAs, I think that's the way to go, because then winning's also a skill that you learn how to do. And I think that when you play at the level where you can win, you're going to learn that skill a lot faster.
I really like what you just said in a way. When I was choosing a partner for Chicago and Manhattan, I was looking at the list and I'm like, there's a blocker, there's Leela, there's, I don't know who else was on my list. And I'm thinking, who is a winner from these people?
Yeah.
Or at least who proved himself as a winner so far. And I'm like, Lila won a tournament with Andy Laguna. He won with Troy Field, the Narseca qualifier, whatever it was. I'm like, this person knows how to win. And Brandon Joyner talks about this, like, no matter what kind of a tournament it is, if you win, you're gaining that skill.
Yeah.
Like, there's something special about winning. Like, not even talking about choking, but more like, if you can win, you can win multiple tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you become a winner. You know, Ken Steffes talks about, winning as a skill, right?
Yeah.
And I really believe in that. And really, if you look those players and let's say you want to make a list of winners, if you make that check mark, you can see that they actually, more often than not, make good results.
Mm-hmm.
Where, like, there's some, like, one-time wonders who make something good, but then, they make something really bad. And when I was looking for a partner, I'm like, I want that. I want a winner. I want a consistent partner that even if we lose, we're losing, like, by playing good.
Yeah.
Like, I know what I'm going to get, especially in the situation that we don't have time to prepare. Like, if I need to choose someone and just go blind, on a blind date,
Yeah.
then it has to be someone that is consistent.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go with, someone who won one tournament in their life, which was huge, but then underperformed. Because, like, I don't know what I'm going to get. So I think that's really good, like, what you said is, like, learning how to win.
Yeah.
It's a big skill.
Yeah. Would you say that you learned a little bit of that this year? Because I think even though you didn't win AVPs, you had a great year, especially for your first year on tour.
I feel this season in Europe, we had a really good run. Like, we played, like, 5 or 6 tournaments, and I was on the podium every single time. So for me, that kind of gave me that extra boost, of, like, confidence. Obviously, winning increases your confidence.
Mm-hmm.
If you win back-to-back, it really helps you kind of, like, come to third tournament, and you're like, we're playing great bowling right now. But for me this year, what was driving me was just, like, me feeling that I improved my game. I changed a couple things after Australia. We got our ass
But you qualified.
slapped. Yeah, but we lost 2 times to Linnell and Basro.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, what's lacking in my game? Like, every time I come to huge blockers, I struggle.
Yeah.
So I made some adjustments. I started attacking a little more from the pin, like, open up the angles. And I feel I'm playing better ball. So that kind of motivates me. So for now, I'm just cruising on that feeling of, like, I'm playing better ball. But I feel winning is more like I got it throughout the years on the smaller tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, like, playing smaller tournaments is great. Like, a lot of tournaments in Europe, a lot of tournaments in Florida. Like, I have a big record of tournaments. And that kind of, like, when I go to tournament, I'm like, I know I won a lot before.
Right.
So for me, it's like, I know I can do it,
Mm-hmm.
The hardest part is obviously start winning. It's like,
Right.
I was young once, right? And I was losing everything. I was just a young kid, like Basta, who is, like, right now, like, our coach and, in Serbia and plays with us sometimes. And he played until, like, 2 years ago. Probably the best player we ever had, the best blocker. Like, dude, I have a picture when we were, like, having his letters on our body, like,
Yeah.
Basta, and we were, like, cheering in the crowd.
Yeah.
I was just a kid, like, every time I play against him, I was scared. He was this huge blocker. And, like, slowly you start playing against him, give him a good fight, and then, you beat him once, and you're like, okay, like, I'm starting to win something. And that's how I think playing, like, you grow and grow and grow. So winning, I feel like, doesn't come after winning one tournament. It's more like multiple small events.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I think winning is really connected to confidence. Like, you
Yes.
need to build up that belief in yourself. The more you win, the less you're going to have that voice in your head of, like, oh my God, like, like, we're playing this team and that team. And, I had this conversation with Jake Urrutia. He was like, dude, like, we're playing CBA. He's like, we're playing these guys. I'm like, Jake, you're the best player on the beach here. Like,
Yeah.
who are you scared of? Like, why are you, like, talking about them? You should talk about yourself. Be like,
Yeah.
hey, I want us to do this, this, and this. Not like, oh, we're playing this guy and this guy. Like, for me, it's like you have to create that, like, relationship with yourself where you tell yourself, I'm good enough. I'm good enough to win, or I'm good enough to give a good fight, or, I belong here.
Yeah.
And for me, I had that when I was younger, but it definitely grew by playing a lot of tournaments.
Yeah.
And, obviously, like, win a first medal on the World Tour 2017 for me was like, wow, I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And then winning gold with Lazar, I'm like, wow, we can do this.
Yeah.
And then, like, going to AVP and qualifying, I'm like, wow, I can do this as well.
Yeah.
It's like it all ultimately makes you bigger.
Yeah.
You know, and at one point, like, you know, you're so confident, like you can look Bourne when he walks on the court, you can see like he has confidence in himself. Like just the way he walks and like goes to the net, you see this guy has confidence.
Yeah.
You know, or Taylor Crabb or Trevor. You know, like Trevor, I feel like he's 200% confidence.
Oh
like,
yeah.
He's just like, and he's open about it. He's like, I'm winning.
Yeah.
And I love that. I feel that that's the biggest opponent that you can have is like having that voice in your head or not believing that you can do it. So more tournaments obviously equals more confidence, I believe.
Jake is so funny because he, like, when you watch him play, you're like, oh, he's like Jersey kind of asshole kind of guy. He's like loud. And then you play and like, he's like, oh, dude, like this is such a bad draw. And I'm like, Jake, like we're the bad draw. Like you need to know how good you are, man.
Yeah, I had that with Jake. I understand. I'm like, you have to stop thinking about that. I'm like, you're the top player now.
Yeah,
you know,
he's a beast.
You're winning. He has, I think, the same, like, similar results like me. Like, great season, you know, qualified almost every single time. Like, putting up good fights. He beat Andy in Miami, which was a huge win. I'm like, bro, you just beat Andy, and you're still talking about bad draw. Like, you know, you gotta get that confidence. You know, like, you gotta know who you are. You gotta know how good you are.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, you should think that you're better than you are. Like, you should think like, I'm better than somebody who's better than me.
Yeah.
Just because that's the only way to beat them. Now, I don't agree that you should talk about it. Like, I have a lot of people who think they're so good and then they talk open about it. Like, oh, I'm better than this guy and this guy. That's bad. That's being cocky and like people don't like that.
Yeah. Just stay in here.
Yeah. Put it in your head, but tell yourself that you're better than everyone else or at least better than your opponents that you're playing currently. And that's a good recipe.
Yeah.
So like, Jake is my really good buddy, so I try to talk to him about that. I really, like, when I play with Brian, I would tell him, like, bro, you're a beast. Like, you're the biggest guy here. Like, just hit over them. Like, nobody can stop you. I feel like also as a partner, you can grow that in your partners. So, like, I feel confidence is something that grows, you know? That, like, dude, ride the wave, you know? Like, for me, I love to scream. I love the fire. Yeah. Because, like, when I have adrenaline, I'm like, I'm unstoppable. Like, that's in my head. I'm like, give me a ball, I'm unstoppable. Where, like, if I cool down, I'm like, you know, like, they're playing pretty good. It's like, for me, it's like, give me, like, ultimate confidence, and I'm going to hit harder and jump higher. And, you know, it's like, I even, like, ask partners, I'm like, give me that confidence. Like, tell me something, you know, like, fire me up. Like,
that's where
light it up.
Yeah, that's where I think, like, we've been talking about partnerships a lot, is that I think being a partner is the best intangible skill you can have, in that, like, your personality needs to be whatever your partner needs it to be. Yeah. So, like, if you need to, like, pump your boy up and, like, get his confidence up, like, pump him up, like, be that guy. And that's where I think JD was so good, because he gave me complete and total freedom and green light. I could be 20 feet off the net, like, full backspin on the ball, and JD's like, dude, hit it. Like, they can't stop you. Like, anytime I missed an option, he's like, bro, you sat out like 100 times in a row. Hit the next one. And he just, like, kept like, anytime I had an opportunity to be, like, a little deflated with how I was playing, JD was like, absolutely not. Like, you're the best player on the beach right now.
I'm that person. I need that.
Yeah.
Like, I love to give, but bro, I feel I can be, especially as a blocker now. I had this conversation with Lila. I'm like, you need to fire me up. Like, I need to feel like a beast. Yeah. If you want me to make that block or like, and I love freedom. Like, if you go and like, I miss a skyball and you tell me like, dude, hit higher next one. I'm like, okay, I'm going for it. And then eventually, you know, like, you actually make a point. You make an ace. You make a good serve, jump serve, whatever. But if your partner goes like, oh, you know, then I'm like, okay, I'm floating. And then we would lose a match. I would go home and I would be like, you know, it's not called being scared. I didn't got scared, but I'm like, I lowered the pressure to like not make mistakes, but then I lost because of that. I'm like, I ultimately played not to lose instead of play to win. Right. And I'm like, if your partner gives you a green light, obviously, like, don't miss every single serve out. Right. Like, be smart with it. But if your partner gives you green light, encourage you to like keep going, whatever it is, option, jump set, skyball, whatever, jump serve, that helps. Yeah. That kind of like gives you a little relief. Yeah. Right. Like, I talked to someone about like small court. You go to serve, and you know when it's pressure, the court is so small and the net is high. Yep. But if your partner goes like, dude, just keep ripping. Yeah. I want every single ball in this set that you rip the serve.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden the court becomes a little bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Like not too big.
Yeah.
Still pretty small. But becomes, bigger, and you're like, okay, like I'm allowed to miss couple. It's
Right.
okay. And if I miss couple, I usually like that reference of like, hey, we missed the serve. Let's fix it. Let's side out, just fix this point.
Yeah.
And we're back.
Yeah.
It's just like one small fix. It's just the easy side out.
Mm-hmm.
So like I definitely think the partnership and partner, the way he talks to you can also create that ultimate confidence that
Yeah.
we're talking about. I think confidence looks like from this podcast, the confidence is the recipe.
Yeah.
Get
And
the confidence.
Here's another book recommendation for you. Best book I read this year, which was a recommend from Zana Muno, is The Confident Mind. It so good and really simple. It was a sports psychologist at West Point, and just so freaking good. But I think that just the chemistry between partners is so big on that. Like me and Jake Dietrich, I'll use as an example, where we had never played together before. We were like pretty good buds, and I know that Jake can earn a lot of points on his serve. And I was like, green light, buddy. Like, fire away. Do your weird float, do your little like running hybrid thing, whatever funk you want to put on it, go back there. If you miss, I'll keep the next one in. So don't worry about missing. And so anytime he missed, like I would just pop in, like make sure that they played the next one. But he just he served like an animal in Manhattan.
huge.
It was awesome. And like I think you just got to know like what skills your partner is bringing to the table and what they need. And if you give it to them, you're gonna get the best out of your partner almost every time, and that's half the battle. Like if your partner's playing at an A+ every time, then you can be a B-.
Yeah, I love that, and I think that's a big part of like strategy. And like I think that strategy is something I'm so curious about, and I love like strategizing with my partners and strategizing against different opponents. And Andy was big, right? He was talking about it, and him and Miles are so good because they do that.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a big part of that of like who's the better server or who can bring more points, or maybe according to win or something, who can bring more points. Maybe like you're a better server than me on the win, and the opposite. So like we mix it up, or before the game we go like we're gonna serve this guy. So I feel like that talk helps. I also like the talk, for example, in defense, like or like attacking. Let's say you're struggling side out, and I go like, hey, that guy's always sitting angle. Like try to see him. If he's on the angle, just shoot a high line.
Yeah.
That way, I give you the advice, which you don't have to listen.
Right.
Let's say it's good if it's recommended that you listen.
Yeah.
And if they dig you, we're fine.
Right.
Because you listen what I told you. I'm happy because we tried something. You believed me.
Right.
And they scored great. We lost as a team.
Yeah.
But if I tell you like, hey, that guy's on the angle the whole time, and you bounce the angle and he digs you, we're like, bro, I literally told you. And that's, I think, where like the partnership has a problem.
Yeah.
It's like I feel that your partner can help you so much with advice, and then it's easier on the team if it doesn't work. But I feel like strategy is something that is so important. Like playing with Mark, for example, was great. Like Mark is like such a huge brain, and for me I enjoyed like talking, and we would sometimes come up with the same thing at the same time. We're like, wow, like we think the same.
Yeah.
So like I feel that's a big part, and that separates the top players. And you can obviously see like Andy talking about it, and now they're like boom, second in the world.
Yeah.
Anders Moll, I think it's one of the smartest blockers ever. Like just the way he thinks and like traps you and shows you and takes it and make adjustment, and like you see him like make 5 blocks in a row when he needs. You're like, wow. It's not wow. He knows what he's doing. Like, he's strategizing and he's baiting you and stuff like that. So I feel like conversation can really increase the partnership, right?
Yeah.
And now there's the whole story about coaches. Like on the FIVB, they're wanting to put the coaches.
They should.
That's a third person giving you advice.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you have 2 really physical athletes that don't have a brain, right? Bouncing. But, they get in troubles. The opponents make something different, and they don't know how to figure it out. Now you have maybe a thinker in the box. 2 big guys that don't really have a huge brain, but a really good thinker. And now, boom, that's a great team.
Yeah.
Because that thinker is making them, great.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like something that Beach Volleyball could lean to in the future,
Yeah. I hope that the FIVB lets coaches in the box. It's been weird. I doubt that they'll be able to make any changes before Paris, but I hope that that's allowed. Because I think the game will just be better. Like having a coach in the box is so nice because one, you have just an objective third party to sort of mediate between you two. But like you said, like you can have 2 guys with like a small brain in there. Like adrenaline, physically it'll pump you up, but mentally, dude, my brain is just like shoo. And like I pride myself in being able to think through a match. But then after like me and Jake got smashed by Rafi and Marty in Manhattan. Marty had 11 blocks. And afterwards, I was like, why didn't we try to switch sides? Like, nothing had worked. We had tried everything. Like, I tried optioning, and it was one of the worst optioning matches I've had in as long as I can remember. Tried this. Then I went back to setting Jake. We tried to, like, every adjustment except for switching sides. Like, it's so obvious.
Yeah.
But, like, you're so pumped up, and then your emotions get crazy. You start, like, seeing red. And then I was talking, my father-in-law was in the box with us coaching. I was like, why didn't we switch sides? It's like, that was, like, the easiest
I had the
thing
similar
to think
moment.
of.
We lost Jake Urshia and Caleb.
Okay.
And Caleb was lining up middle.
Yeah.
So, like, he could jump both sides. For me, like, one way to avoid that is run a pin set really fast. He's going to be late. And if he's middle, I can chip line every single time.
Yeah.
Didn't run one shoot set in the whole match.
Yeah.
And after match, I'm thinking, like, he was trapping me in the middle, lining up middle, and I just didn't come up with a solution. Instead of I was just trying to see him and, you know, like, chop away. And the solution was so simple.
Right.
You know, and, like, on this problem, this is the answer. And I could not find it.
Yeah. And
So,
then
like,
after, you're like,
that definitely helps. You know? But wait, I have a question for you.
yeah.
How come that we talk about this? There's not that many blockers on the, let's say, main draw part. And then 2 blockers match up together for Manhattan Beach. And me and Jake Urshia and a couple more defenders are like, are we supposed to play together now? Like, give me the answer.
That was so funny.
Why you and Jake Dietrich didn't mix up with some of the defenders.
Yeah.
Me, Jake, Lila. There were a couple more.
With Urtia, because we had played really well together. We had played 2 tournaments. We won a CBVA, and then we got 5th in Denver, and we got knocked out by Billy and Alisson. Like, it's not – I'm totally fine. We played really well, and Jake balled out. But we were, like, uncomfortably close for me to be in the qualifier. And I was like, dude, I'm not getting Lev and Alvaro Q25. I was like, I'm going into the main draw. And then Leela texted me, like, 3 weeks after I told Jake I'd play with him. But I thought Leela like went AWOL. Like, I didn't hear from him for like 3 months. I thought he like retired. And then I didn't know if you were home. And so me and Jake talked about it, and we've been good friends because he was one of the first friends I made when I moved out here in 2015. And he had played really well, and I thought split blocking would be a lot of fun. Like, this year was just like a fun year for me.
I mean, it's a good test, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can be like, okay, let me see how split blocking works.
Yeah.
Like, do I like it? Do I don't like it? Is it successful?
Yeah.
You know, even like switching sides, like playing left side, right side. Like, I choose to block. I'm like, let me see what we can do. My dad is like, are you really going to block? Like, this is like high level volleyball. I'm like, Dad, I can do it. Like, go on the live stream because I'll put it and count my blocks. I'll give you some. Yeah. And I did. Like, I get like 2 per match. You know, it's still like decent number. You know.
And if you're a good volleyball player, you can do anything. Yeah. Like you and Lila are really good volleyball players. You can keep the balloon off the floor. And me and Jake we're good volleyball players. And we actually we played great against Nate and Mike, and we played really well in the second set against the Taylors, and in stretches of the first set, and then against Marty and Rafi, we were just garbage, but that was an offensive issue more than anything. But it was fun, and
it's kind of fun, right?
I've played 3 tournaments this year split blocking, and I had won 2 of them, and then the third one was in Manhattan with Jake, and I was like, I mean, I've proven somewhat capable, and it's so much less tiring split blocking. Like, oh, I don't have to run all the way up there.
I hear that pretty often. Even like Lazar complains about like running to the net. Yeah. Honestly, I don't know if it's like the way my body's built, like big legs, and something, but I find that the easiest part is like for me to serve and run to the net. Yeah. But it's just like jumping when you're short, it's devastating. It's like I'm like scratching and trying to touch something, and like I don't get tired. Like I can run it. I can pull. I can jump 4 every single time. Jump, serve, and run. I don't care. But it's just like it's so exhausting in my mind not being able to touch the balls. Yeah. Like especially like when the ball is tight, I would like half jump because like my brain is like go get it instead of like loading all the way down to actually get some jump as a small guy. And I would literally like jump so low, people like tip over me. I'm like, what is this? Yeah. Like this is devastating. Dude.
Who did you guys play? You played Jake and Caleb, and then you played.
So Jake and Caleb was okay because Jake is hitting a little lower. So
right.
Like, that was a good, okay matchup. Then we played Spencer Locke
Okay.
and Carlos.
Carlos. Okay.
And that was okay. Like I got a couple of blocks.
Yeah.
And then we played Lindell. That was great. I got
Dentler.
plenty of blocks, and Leela had, I think, 22 dicks. Like, it was an insane match by Leela.
Jesus,
But it
Leela.
was a great matchup for us. And I was so excited. I went home, like, we're going to the next day. We're playing Saturday. I'm like, I'm blocking good. Leela's digging. And then we go to two big guys. I'm like, I feel so small.
Yeah.
Like, I think Tim had, like, a cobra spike down, like a power cobra over me. I'm like, what am I supposed to even do in this situation? Like, I feel, like so weak.
Yeah.
But, there are good matchups and bad matchups. Like, maybe if it's windy, that would be a good team for us to play against, because we can run a fastball.
Yeah.
If there's a smaller guy, obviously that's probably our better choice, because like big guys just hit pretty high. But I like the exploring part. I actually surprised myself with being a blocker and actually getting 2 wins and getting 3 wins in the qualifier for Chicago. So for me, I think this is also learning in a way. Now I understand better what the blocker is supposed to cover, and I understand how I should hide behind.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really big on that kind of timing. I wouldn't call it cheating. I would say like tactical cheating.
Yeah.
Let's put it like that. Like Andy talks about that. And I really like the way he explained is like the best point, like the one most satisfying is if you can trick them and they shoot to you.
Yeah.
Dude, I love that. I'm like,
best.
thank you.
Gotcha.
That was such a good move by us, like both blocker and defender, that guy thought that we're doing something else and he gave it right to me. Or let's say we play a 3 and a 4 and they hit right to the block. That means I set up well and my blocker set up well and we gave a good picture. And I'm really big on that, on timing and giving a different look. And I think blocking helped me kind of realize a little better where I should line up as a defender or as a blocker. So I feel that I definitely grow by being a blocker, not height. Height, I'm still too small.
How tall are you?
6'4", but
It's not that small.
Bad
Man.
jumper.
I'm
Bad
6'4".
jumper. Yeah, there's people who are 6'4" are way better jumpers than me for blockers.
Yeah.
But, it's still, I get something. I get a really good fast defender behind me. We work on our game. I think we're going to try to run like a little more like small ball, a little faster tempo, and, like a little more moving of the ball.
Yeah.
So I'm actually excited for Chicago. We practice a little different. We made some adjustments after Manhattan, something that we think that was not good and that we could do better. And I feel on the practices already that it was better. So
Yeah.
I feel that we're going to come strong to Chicago. Obviously, 16 teams, everybody's going to be good.
Yeah.
And we play Taylors. So I'm excited. I'm excited to show what we have. And, just to continue exploring being a blocker with Leela.
And it's fun. It's fun just switching positions because it's so new.
For sure.
Phil Dalhausser gave me the best little, I don't even know if it's like advice, but just a little blocking snippet, golden nugget of wisdom. He's like, if you get this high over the net and you make the right calls at the right time, you'll get at least 2 blocks per set. Because like Phil will hit swings that tape. Alisson will hit swings that tape. When you play these monsters, they still make mistakes on swings where they tape it. And if you're able to take advantage of those, you're going to get a lot of blocks.
For sure.
So like if you capitalize on their mistakes, like Bill Kolinski is the golden example of that, where this dude like does not jump high, but his hands and timing of his moves are so good.
Yeah.
He had 11 blocks against Phil and Avery. 11. That's insane.
That is huge. I have a really hard time playing Bill.
Yeah.
Both like offensively and defensively.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like his pattern is so good in attacking. Some people have like a little easier job with him than they would like to serve him. Dude, he chopped us away in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Like every time I move, he's like cut shot. Every time I move, he's like line shot. Brian moves, tap line. I'm like, dude, I told him after, I'm like, your pattern is so good.
Yeah.
I pretty often like just freestyle. And I would try to make a decision late according to what I see.
Yeah.
Dude, he has a pattern. It's like if the player's here, he's doing this. If the player's here, he's doing this. Obviously, if you study him, maybe you can get some pattern and, like play defense against him. But I was impressed with his offense, like the way his brain works, and defense. Like he would just make those small moves. And I'm like, oh, he's moving. He's not moving. Like, and then by the time I actually make a decision, he would like block me. I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, that's such a good move.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And like he's got those big, strong ass hand, like Midwestern hands, and he's just like, poof, like you hit his hands, he's down.
He's a really smart player. Like first time we saw him in Australia, like 2017.
Yeah.
And he was serving this deep ball, and Lazar and I look at each other and we're like, what is this guy doing? Like literally serving a free ball.
Yeah.
Like at that moment, we were just volleyball players from indoor that start playing beach. Like, why is he serving free balls?
Yeah.
Like getting tired, so he's running to the net. Like we don't get it.
Yeah.
And then later when we learned, actually, that's probably Lazar's favorite serve right now. Is like high deep serve.
Yeah.
Gives him time to go back. People really struggle setting it.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's something that people just are not comfortable setting that ball. And we get a lot of points on that. And then approaching from the baseline.
Yep.
So like just at that moment, like me learning about it is like Billy's a genius. Like,
yeah.
He's physically maybe not Taylor Sander, like not flying, jumping, but bro, he's a winner. Like he knows how to beat teams.
Yeah.
And it's impressive. And he's doing it for years. And
I want to go back and look at his record in third sets because he gets better as it goes on because he thinks so well. And you mentioned that he has a great pattern, but he locks into your pattern really early. He's like, if I block a angle, this is what his tendency is on the next one. He calls great matches.
Yeah,
as a blocker.
He's one of the people, I asked him a couple of times. Like, he's one of the people I would love to play a tournament with.
Yeah.
Just because I want to hear communication that he has. Mm-hmm. I'm just curious. I'm really curious to see how he thinks. You know? And like the only way to learn how somebody thinks is playing with him.
Yeah.
Like he would tell you and you would tell him, and like I'm actually really curious. Like we would probably have a hard time because I'm a left sider and he's a left sider.
Yeah.
So probably one of us would go right, and I bet that would be me. But I'm just curious, like, to figure out his brain. I think that's something for sure that I feel I can grow. You know, creating patterns in defense, and like that's the fun part. Like you learn how to play. Everybody on this level knows how to do everything, right? Everybody knows how to cut shot, line shot, jumbo, block, play defense, hit a jump serve, hit a float, short, deep. Like everybody knows.
Right.
What's the difference? The difference is brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Difference is like strategy. Difference is adjustments, and difference is focus. Like, can you keep the focus? Like confidence as well. Like those things create a good player, right? And I feel like technically I'm there, physically I'm there. Like I prove myself. Confidence is there. Strategy is the one that like makes that final touch. Strategy, like in attack, strategy in defense. Like that's where the best teams are. And that also goes back to my story about players playing together for years. Yeah. Then you can like make those small moves, like, hey, like this time do this, and that what your partner is going to do. Like it's so fun. And like I think Andy was saying it a couple times, it's so fun. And Miles says it on different podcasts a couple times. It's so fun. Yeah. It's fun playing that, chess game. Like, finally I understand what's a chess game. Like, oh, it's a chess game. Oh, I hit a line shot, he moves there. Next time I hit the cut shot. It's not. It's like so much going on there, offensively and defensively on a high level that people can maybe see or not see, depending if you're just trying to watch a game or actually trying to see what they're doing. But dude, it's so fun.
It's so fun.
I love beach volleyball because of that. Like, I'm 28 right now, and dude, I'm getting more and more excited.
You're just a baby. You're just getting started, dude.
It's in US. In US, it's like, oh, you're under 30. You're like, oh, you're young. Yeah. Where like, in Europe, you're like, oh, you're 30, bro. Like, national team is like, oh, sorry, you're too old. Like, we need to like put money in the young guys. Yeah. Like, what do you mean? Like, I'm under 30. Yeah. I'm like, no, like your time's like, we don't have that many years to put in. I'm like,
it's so funny because like everyone's looking at Andy Bennett. It's like, oh, he's this like young American kid. He's older than Anders. Here's this baby. Everyone's like, oh, like this young American, but he's like by World Tour standards, he's like a pretty medium age
for sure. But World Tour is just, dude, like that system that those countries have, they start building players so young. Like US doesn't have that. Like people play indoor and go to college, and like those people in Norway, in other countries, Germany, dude, since they start playing sport, they only play beach. Yeah. But in US you say, oh, I only play beach. That probably means like you picked it up after golf. Right. Like you picked it up after because like you wanted to change something. But like like I'm playing beach whole life means like I started as my first sport, and by the time I have 15, 16 years old, I know everything.
Yeah.
Not technique, but I know technique and tactic. And my body's already like used to sand and moving. And, you know, I know the fakes and I know to make adjustments. And I know, you know, like every single player, like their tendencies is like, wow. Like these Swedish guys showed up. You're like, wow. Like they're not young and, you know, like, oh, they're young and that's why they're winning because they're fresh legs and they're jumping and hitting. No, they're actually one of the smartest people over there.
Mm-hmm.
Like they know the game.
Yeah.
They run the system that is unstoppable. You know, like Andy Mole, like he's young, but yeah, he's the smartest blocker.
Yeah.
Also physically gifted, crazy, but that's not enough. And like for me, it's like those people they were lucky to have the system like that, right? To like learn from when they were young, but at the same time, like for people who start late, you got to put in the years, right? And that's why in US it's a little shifted because people start later. For me as well, like it took me years to learn because there was nobody like really to teach us like, you know, like high level beach volleyball. We had people who we tried to copy, but you know, like we never had a world champion or like Olympic champion or, you know, someone to like learn from. So like I feel I'm not surprised that young people are making results in Europe because the systems are so good.
Yeah.
And you know, if you want to be so successful, unfortunately, that's the recipe. Like you got to start, you got to put in the years. It doesn't matter when you start, but you got to put in the years.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, oh, they're young or you're too old. You're not too old if you put in those years.
Right.
But by the time you put in the years, you're going to be 35, you know, and that's why federations don't want it anymore in Europe. Because like those years that they're going to put in, you're going to play a couple more years and you're going to leave.
Yeah.
And now they need a new player. So they're like, oh, you're old. I'm like, I'm not old. I'm 28. Yeah. Like, use me for a couple more years at least. Use me to build up those young guys, you know, like at least something. So
yeah. Our women are the exact opposite with the NCAA.
For sure.
Shoo. I mean, we have like just a roster full of savages coming out. Like they're so good.
I know. I was really following actively last year because Maureen was playing.
Yeah.
I mean, let's say a year and a half ago, she was playing at LMU. She was a second seed. All-American.
Yeah.
I like to brag.
Yeah.
But
come on, that's a good boyfriend.
Great player, but I got to see the top teams because she was second seed. So I saw the second seeds from other teams, you know, I was following almost every single match. And, you know, like those girls played insane.
So
and
good.
then those girls that she played, she would be like, hey, you remember that girl we played from, doesn't matter, UCLA? Oh, she just won this future.
Yeah.
Oh, this girl from, you know, FSU won this. I'm like, that's insane. Like all the college girls are like literally winning tournaments that we're competing in. You know, like they're coming out of college and like boom, like great players.
Yeah, I mean Lexi Denenberg just won a futures in Korea.
I saw. That's impressive. You know, like that's how you build up. That was a great like the way they created system for US. Like I love it, and I think it's gonna work really well because in Europe, as I said, they take few girls and then they build up for years. But dude, this is like a factory.
Yeah.
This is like just like popping players.
I know. And it's crazy because it's popping out international players too. Because
that's bad.
Tina Gradina was at SC. Molly McBain, she's going to World Champs for Canada.
Spanish girls, they were.
Yeah, Daniela and Tanya, they're still going. They're coming back to TCU.
Yeah.
I mean, they might make the Olympics.
I know.
Like they got silver at European Championships, and they're coming back to college.
You have so many college girls; they're always great. And then if you think about it, who's coming up? You're like, dude, where's Seth?
Yeah.
And like kind of to mix up that story with men's beach, it's like I hope men's beach would find their way one time.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yeah. So tell me about that. What?
Even though you guys make fun of me all the time,
the oldest college beach player.
I'm probably the oldest college player right now, but I'm really grateful for the opportunity. And when I was young, I was playing indoor in Serbia, and I started playing beach, and I was playing for national team. I was still high school, and I was thinking like, dude, I would love to go to college to US. I want to live 4 years at the campus. I want to experience it. You know, like it would be the best time of my life, but I don't want to leave beach volleyball. And I'm like, I'm not going to leave that dream because I want to leave the beach volleyball dream. And after a couple of years, I got an opportunity to live both dreams at the same time.
Yeah.
Like go live the college life and compete against other colleges, study in US, you know, have that team and like meet people and, you know, create these friendships, have the experience, and at the same time play beach volleyball. I'm like, this is an opportunity that I, again, never expected. Like, again, lucky enough. So I got recruited by by the Westcliff coach. And
Who is the Westcliff coach?
It was Kenny Ma.
Okay.
Now is Fernando. He also used to play.
Fernando
AVP.
Sabla?
Yeah.
Okay. I love Fernando.
Fern is great.
He's awesome.
He's such a good guy.
Yeah.
But men's beach volleyball is really like at the beginning. You know, it's starting. There's Westcliff Westcliff University beach volleyball team, and there's Weber.
Yeah.
And then there's other schools who are thinking about it or maybe creating teams, but basically it's two big schools kind of competing for the national title and, you know, like all the glory. But I think it's a great start.
Yeah.
I think it's a great start to like create that factory. So if USA wants to make beach volleyball teams, I think that's a good recipe to copy from girls, because there's so many talented players. Like, there's so many indoor talented players. And if you think about what happens with indoor, right? People play indoor, and after that, what they do?
Go overseas.
Go overseas or start working.
Yeah.
Because there's no league. So if they just transfer half of those people, not even half, give me a little piece, you know, and start making beach volleyball players, they're probably not going to start working or go overseas. They're going to transfer to beach volleyball AVP tournaments and something. And they're going to be product for national team. And now you're going to have like those people who are ready to play for a national team and, you know, like win Olympics and stuff like that, because it's already a proven recipe.
Yeah.
I understand there's a problem with numbers of scholarships, but it could be something that could potentially grow.
Yeah.
And men's beach volleyball it's so fun, dude. It's you
So
you
fun.
always talk about that system of like 5 seeds and, you know, like competing.
It's the best.
And it's something that I lacked for years, was having a team.
Yeah.
When I left indoor in 2017, I didn't play indoor. So it's only me and the guy.
Yeah.
You know, and like it's kind of lonely.
Yeah.
You know, and then all of a sudden you get to play the same sport, but you have so many buddies.
Yeah.
And you have, you know, the buddies cheering for you, and
Yeah.
you can go all together after and celebrate. And dude, it's so fun being a part of the team.
Yeah.
So like, even though like it's kind of funny that I'm like 28 and playing college, you know, like beach volleyball, I love it. Like I love that I got opportunity to study. That's first. I'm studying computer science, so for me it's like great to continue growing. But also I love just having opportunity to again be a part of a team, which I never thought it's gonna happen. Plus studying in US, which I thought it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So for me it was just a jackpot. I'm so grateful for that opportunity. I love it, and you know, I'm excited. Like the season is supposed to start. Like we're starting next week with practices.
Okay.
So the season is supposed to be next 2-3 months. And Fern is a great coach. We have a great team. And we won the first national title last year. First men's
Congratulations.
champions as
Yeah.
Westcliff. And we want to go for 2. We wrote the history like being a first school that ever won. And we want to win again. And guys are super motivated. We have a really good team. So I'm just excited, you know, to like lead that team as a captain and, you know, help them as much as I can. I try to also coach a little bit, you know, like I was brought here in that team as a experienced player to share my experience and, you know, like teach the other guys and kind of play by example, you know, and, you know, I'm trying every day to be that example, you know, the way I work out, the way I practice, and, you know, I try to show them like, guys, this is the way, and to shake them a little bit if something is off. So I'm just excited, you know, being the youngest whole life to being the oldest and the mentor of the guys. It's like a little different role, but I love it. I feel I learned a lot through my career. I traveled the world. I met so many people. I learned from the best, right, from this sport, like Ricardo and Phil and everybody on the way. So I'm just excited to share that with the younger guys who love this sport.
Yeah. You're just getting started, Deej.
Dude, love it.
Yeah.
I'm living the dream.
You're living the dream. Well, where can people follow you living the dream?
They can follow me on Instagram, DJ Klasnic.
How do you spell
It's
that?
kind of hard to spell.
Yeah.
DJORDJE.
Yeah. So is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Georgia.
Georgia is my name.
Got it.
But it's so complicated. People cannot remember. You know, when you hear like a new name, you're like, yeah, I forgot it.
Yeah.
Like DJ is just easy to remember.
It's easy.
You connect it to like
Yeah.
DJing and okay, like, now people know my name.
It's hard to forget a guy with 2 letters.
And I like the nickname, you know. It's working. People in US actually know me as DJ. Like if you say Georgia, people would be like, what?
Yeah.
So on Instagram, I'm there. On Facebook, I'm there. A little less, but I'm still there. I respond to messages. I try to communicate with people. And I love, helping people with beach. So if anybody has any questions about volleyball and, working out or something like that, I'm always happy to help. And there's a YouTube channel that I kind of stopped a little bit, Beach Quick. I was doing tutorials, so I'm probably going to go back to that as well. That's another place. So I'm active. I try. I post a lot of my games live on my beach volleyball channel.
On
Beach Quick.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Got it.
So usually I would post a story on my Instagram. Hey, I'm playing. And then, so if anybody wants to follow games, I pretty often post live streams.
Perfect.
So that's kind of a place.
Right on, brother. Stoked to see you living the dream.
Dude, thanks for inviting me again. I feel like if you make it first time, you did something good.
Yeah.
If you get invited twice, you're doing something
real nice.
good.
Yeah.
Like, you're still doing it. I'm like, okay, this feels special. It's like another win, another tournament.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you had a great freaking year, and I think next year's the time. I think we're gonna have to play at least one together.
I hope so. I hope so.
Penciling it in. Here we go. All right, buddy.
Thanks again, dude.
Shoots.